We had a music room, and I'd play his Stevie Wonder record. I'd put on his Bob Marley record, right? And I would just vibe out. Instead of buying lunch with my lunch money, I'd save it and buy records.
You inspire a lot of people, me included.
I didn't have real DJing equipment. There was a guy, his name was DJ Lips, and he said to me, I'll let you borrow it. He goes, don't even worry about it, it's on me. So I go to get the job at Hot Wheels. A week passes, I'm in the snack bar, right? Manny C goes to the owner, is like, yo, you have, Ian on the skate floor and giving out skates, and he's DJing at Planet Hollywood. He should be DJing here. The owner's like, what? You DJ at Planet Hollywood? I'm like, yeah, on my free time, He's like, what do we have to pay to DJ here? I go, let's talk. I was literally there DJing
In the
finals World Cup in Brazil. And I'm like, this was not part of the plan.
Oh my God.
Different people have different motivators. I realized that my motivator is...
Welcome back for another edition of Industry Talks Hospitality Podcast. I'm here with an old, good friend. I want to say I've known this gentleman for 29 years. I just did the math the other day.
Yeah.
We've been friends for 29 years. Many people know him as the world famous, world renowned DJ Irie or Irie. And
What's
to me,
up,
he's
E?
Ian.
And to me, this is the first guy to ever get me drunk. That's a fact.
Oh my
We will
God.
talk about that.
We'll talk about that in a minute. But man, Irie, I got to tell you, first of all, thank you for spending time with us here. I'm going to dig right into it. You are all over the world, all over the globe. The fact you made a few minutes for me and for everyone here in Miami, I think it's special, and I thank you.
Wasn't even a question. When you said, hey, man, you just come through, it's a matter of, okay, let's get a date and time. I'll be there.
And I appreciate you following through. Even when you responded, like at midnight, I was like,
Yeah.
yo, I'm down. Let's go.
That's like noon for me, but
Yeah. It is. I don't know how you do it, and that's a question I'm going to ask you later, man. And listen, let's just dive right into it. You inspire a lot of people, me included.
Thanks.
And you started out DJing, and I remember those beginning times because I was 18, I was throwing parties, and you were 18 and you were DJing.
Yeah.
Just walk us through, how did you start DJing? Why did you start DJing?
So I was just, I came up in a musical household. Not that anybody played instruments or, was an artist, but there was always music
Okay.
in the house, right? We had a music room, not a TV room.
Really?
Yeah. And I'd get home from school. My dad had these like huge speakers that went from like the ceiling to the floor, right? Like these incredible speakers. And I'd go in the music room and I'd go to his vinyl collection and I'd play his Stevie Wonder record. I'd put on his Bob Marley record, right? And I would just vibe out.
Really?
Yeah. I fell in love with vinyl.
Vinyl, man.
And I started buying records. I started like, instead of buying lunch with my lunch money, I'd save it and buy records. Yeah.
You still have them?
No. I don't know the story. No, I don't. I have a couple, but like, nah.
I mean, I remember back in the day, the crates, they used to come to each and every
I regret it, by the way, too. I really wish I still had my vinyl. I really do. But yeah, I traveled like 8, 9 crates of records, man. These huge crates. I had 3 people on my payroll and a Ford Expedition.
Yes.
No, an Excursion.
Excursion, yeah.
That was just to move the records around.
That's crazy.
That was crazy. But I started collecting all these records, and then, believe it or not, this girl came to my house, and this is when I was still in high school. This girl came to my place that I had a big crush on, and she wanted to see around the house. I wouldn't show her my room because at that time I probably had about 700-800 records laying around my room, right? And it wasn't the coolest thing to be a record connoisseur back then, right?
No.
A vinyl enthusiast,
Yeah.
And like, you're a nerd, I'm out of here, right? So so she walks in and she sees all the records in my room and her face lights up and she's like, oh my gosh, you're a DJ? Look at all these records. I love DJs. And I'm like, of course I'm a DJ.
Whatever you want me to be, let's go.
Yeah, I was like, hell yeah. Let me tell you about all the amazing parties I've never done, Like,
Oh my God.
And yeah, she really believed, and I'd never DJed in my life.
Yep.
I had friends that were DJs. I would, I loved the concept of DJing. I just couldn't tell you the first thing about it, And she actually, it was around the holidays. So we're getting ready to go on Christmas break.
Yeah.
And so she leaves and, we keep in touch. and she says, "Hey, I'm gonna tell my dad to book you for a New Year's party." And I was
Mhm.
like, "Awesome, book me to do what?" She's like, "DJ, silly." I was like, "Oh yeah, because I'm a DJ, right?"
Oh my God.
So, dude, her dad calls and says, "Hey, my daughter says you're an amazing DJ. You should come and you got to take it till you make it, right?"
Yeah, of course.
So I was like, "Okay, yeah. So you're gonna give me money to go to your house and play
Play
music.
music. Yeah.
This sounds like a really good deal, right?"
Oh my God.
So I didn't have the equipment. So I had like I said, remember I had friends.
Yeah.
Everyone is like, it's New Year's.
Yeah.
Everybody's working. So like it was like, yo, I have an extra amp. Yo, I have an extra speaker. I have an extra turntable. So I'm borrowing like one piece. It was like the Frankenstein.
Yeah. Did you make
No
it?
two brands were alike. It was insane, right? So I show up at her place with this monstrosity, and I ended up playing music. Now, granted, this was my very, 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 very first time, quote unquote,
I was
DJ.
about to ask you, what was your first time you played it? This is great.
So here's what it was. Do you remember Casey Kasem's
Yes.
top? Imagine that live in a party. I didn't know how to mix, but I wasn't shy, so I didn't mind.
No, you're not shy.
So
at
I
all.
would play a song, the song would finish, I'd get on the mic and be like, "Hey, hey, hey, party people, that was a good one, right? Well, hey, don't go anywhere because here's another."
No, you did that the whole
The
time?
whole night.
No.
The only reason why I ended up being okay is because I had, like, my DJ buddies, DJ Jose Cuervo,
Yeah?
DJ Johnny Walker, you know what I'm saying? They were all there, you know what I'm saying?
Oh my God. Oh my God.
People were so hammered that I don't even think they noticed, you know what I'm saying?
Oh my
Matter of fact,
God.
one guy did come to me and says, "Hey, do you do that thing with the DJs do where, like, they kind of blend music together?" And I go, "No, I don't do that." He's like, "Okay, great, good job," you know?
Oh my God.
That was and then here's the thing about it. That it ended up being a good night because I realized I had this, like, innate, gift of just, like, looking at these people and saying, "Wow, they're probably gonna like this song."
Oh, that's great.
And then
Reading a crowd
this
already.
song, they're probably and that came to me, like, so naturally. At no point was I stumped, like, "Okay, what should I play?" I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna do this one now."
Yeah. Oh, they're gonna like this.
Ooh, here comes the YMCA, you know?
Yeah.
So it was and that part, it just worked. They had a good time, right?
This is early 90s.
This is early 90s. Yeah, this was like
Mid
90
90s.
this is like 90, 93,
94.
94.
94. Yeah.
Yeah, right? And, do you remember what was the big thing then? Planet Hollywood.
Was it?
Yeah, Planet Hollywood, it was just really, like,
Uh,
blowing up,
uh-huh.
right? That was in the Grove.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, I remember right by the Mayfair.
And guess what? Her dad was the manager.
No.
And he calls me back and says, "Hey, I have an idea. You should come to the restaurant because we have, like, a really great late crowd that they kinda like to party. You should DJ." And that was, like, my first DJ, like,
Gig.
gig.
Oh my God. So you're still in high school.
I was still in high school, and that only lasted about a month. I was getting home. I'm still in high school. I'm getting home at, like, 2 o'clock in the morning. My parents are Jamaican.
They were not about that.
That don't work. That don't work. That don't work. My mom will be waiting up by the door ready to whoop my ass, right? And she's like, this is not gonna work. You gotta quit. I don't care how much money you're making, whatever. No, you're not. There's no son of mine that's still in high school is gonna be getting home this time in the morning, right? And I was like, damn. Right at that moment, literally that same week, my brother Gary, God bless him, shout out to Gary. He's like, "Hey, my boy is a manager at Hot Wheels." He's like, "Yo, you should go talk to him. I think you can get a job over there." Right? I go over to Hot Wheels, right? Um, we
For those wait, for those that don't know, Hot Wheels is an amazing skate joint that
yeah, that one's like
forever.
legendary.
Legendary.
I go to Hot Wheels, right? And my God, I didn't quit yet. I didn't quit.
Taking you
Hollywood
back
yet,
so
right?
well,
So
man.
I go to Hot Wheels. This part. Matter of fact, this leads into you, and then
Yeah.
good. Then well, you
Yeah, no. This is
This
amazing.
is perfect.
I
So
love this.
so here's what happens, right? So I go to get the job at Hot Wheels. He's like, "Yo, you know what? I got you on how you putting you in the skate room." So I'm giving out skates, right? And I'm like, this is not as good as the other job. All right, but I said, all right, cool. Come get your skates, right? So I'm giving the skates out. And then like a week passes, I'm in the snack bar, right? And I told my mom, listen, I gotta stay here till we get another DJ, so let's should we do like another like 2 weeks, right? Manny C, who's the DJ at Hot Wheels, right? He learns that, oh wow, you're DJing at Planet Hollywood? Like, that's sick. It's the hottest thing, right?
Yeah.
By the way, no one even knew I was DJing at Planet Hollywood because I wasn't even like on stage, whatever.
Yeah.
I was in the back.
Yeah. Back then, your DJ was in front and center.
No,
Got the worst spot in the room.
matter of fact, not even worse part, I wasn't even in the room.
Yeah.
I was in like the back kitchen part looking at the room on a camera.
Oh my
Like,
God.
I wasn't even in the room. Okay.
Oh my
You
God.
know, like I'm in the house. I wasn't in the house, right?
My God.
So no one really knew, but he knew because of our conversations,
Yeah.
right? So here's what happens. They hire another DJ at Hot Wheels. This guy thought he was slick. He was playing at the other skating rink. I think it was Thunder Wheels at the time,
Uh-huh.
right? He's playing at the other skating rink, and Hot Wheels using a different name. They catch on. They're like, yo, get out of here. You're fired, right? Trying to play us, right? You're working for the competition.
Yeah.
So they fire him. So they need a DJ immediately. Manny C goes to the owner and is like, yo, you have, Ian on the skate floor and giving out skates, and he's DJing at Planet Hollywood. He should be DJing here. The owner's like, what? You DJ at Planet Hollywood? I'm like, yeah, on my free time, He's like, what do we have to pay to DJ here? I go, let's talk. So I start DJing.
At Hot Wheels, and that's how it started.
And now I'm getting home at like 11:30. My mom can live with that, right?
Reasonable.
So that's how.
Yeah.
Now, real quick, I'm gonna tie it all together. We do these big like raves, whatever, and I'm like, at this point in time, like I'm firing on all cylinders, right? Like I got this thing down,
Uh-huh.
and like I can do the mixing,
You can mix now.
right? You got to mix playing the skating rink,
Mix.
right? So I'm
You still got on the
mixing-
mic?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm still
okay.
on the mic, I'm doing my thing. So here's what happens. This guy's coming to the skating rink all the time. You know him. His name, we call him Squiddy.
Uh-huh.
Daryl. Daryl comes up to me and he's like, man, dude, I'm a promoter for this group called Up All Night,
Yeah.
right? He's like, yo, you should be DJing those parties. Like, you're really good, right? And I'm like, I'm down. He goes, yo, you got to make a mixtape. And he wanted to take it to Angel,
Yeah.
right? So I'm like, man, I'm not really into the mixtape thing. Like, I'd rather them just come here and just hear me. If they want to do it, cool. If not, no worries, right? He goes, no, man, you got to make a tape, right? So I'm like, all right, cool. So then he's on my ass. I'm making a tape. I finally make a tape, right? I give it to him. He comes back. He goes, what is this bullshit? He's like, it's terrible. I go, dude, I told you that's not really my thing. Like, I'd rather do it live, whatever. He goes, give me your address. Give my address. He goes, yo, I'm gonna meet you there this week. He comes over to the house and he's like, yo, this is how you need to do it. You want to get this vibe. He literally, we did the tape together. Yeah. I make the tape. He takes the tape to Angel. Angel's like, all right, I'll give this guy a shot whenever we have a chance, right? Now, one night, this is like a Saturday night, I'm DJing at Hot Wheels, right? Squiddy comes blasting through the door. Yo, tonight, you gotta go. You gotta go. They're gonna put you on tonight. And I'm like, I'm working. He's like, we gotta be there in an hour. We gotta go. I go, dude, I'm working. Like, I can't leave. He goes, hold on. He goes to the manager, guy named Richard. He's like, yo, you gotta call him to the DJ. They're gonna give Irie a chance. This was it's a Office Depot now.
Salvation.
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 This is Salvation.
We're doing the 18 and over parties at Salvation.
Salvation.
I remember this like it was yesterday. Oh my God.
In the hip hop
Goosebumps.
room, right? It's
Oh my
Salvation.
God, yep,
It's Office
Salvation.
Depot now, right?
Salvation.
And he let me go. And I went down there. I only had like I didn't have a lot of records. I had like
Yeah.
my booty stuff, whatever. He's like, oh, you're gonna just play a quick like half-hour set. I got cool. Ended up playing most of the night with just this little thing of records because I'm like playing like the beginning, the end.
Yeah,
middle,
you're cutting it all up.
I'm just trying to extend it, whatever. But it ended up being magical, and the room was just going crazy. And then
Then
that's
they
how
just
far
rolled
I kept
in.
it. So now I know it's way more than you asked for,
No, that was
but it
great.
kind of flowed,
No, this is
You can chop this up and use it out.
honestly, I think that's fucking awesome. Like
That's pretty cool. So
that is.
how do you think
super cool.
you didn't know how that
No,
kind of
I
we
didn't
did
know-
so
I didn't
yeah.
know AI gave me a glimpse of it, but not that much.
Right, yeah.
And then no, not the Squiggy and obviously I remember the Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
I remember all that. And then I remember FIU, and you were
Yes.
student body vice president?
I was.
You were the vice president, and I remember this.
Me and my boy.
And I'll tell you what,
Orlando.
before that, I was a vice president my senior year in high school, and I remember being in student body and being like so straight cut and like, and then I got into the nightlife scene, which is a little different.
Right.
And then here we are at FIU, and we're promoting, and you're DJing with us, but then I see you like daytime.
Yeah.
You're in the collared shirt.
GM of the radio station,
Hey, you-
VP of student government.
Yeah. I was like, oh my
Crazy.
God.
Yeah. So you know what? For me, and this kind of ties into it as well. So I got a scholarship
Okay.
to FIU. So remember, all this happened. This is the transition from high school.
How'd you get a scholarship? Where is it in?
So for the medical, I was gonna be a doctor.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, my parents are Jamaican. You have two choices.
Yeah, you be a doctor.
In fact, no. When your parents are Jamaican, they tell you, "Hey, son, you can do anything you want. Dream that you could do anything as long as you're a doctor or a lawyer."
There you go.
That's it.
There
Do
you
anything
go.
you want as long as it's a doctor or a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
So I said, all right, I think doctors do a little more good in the world, you know? So I said, I'll be a doctor. And that's what I put my, effort and energy into. And I got a scholarship. First in my family, I got a full scholarship for running
Amazing.
FIU, right? It's called the Golden Drum Scholarship. And then remember, I'm starting to DJ in my senior year. So now I get to FIU and it's like pouring gas, on the fire because, the Greek
Yeah.
life,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm doing sorority parties, fraternity parties, right?
Yep.
I got introduced to this place called Coconut Grove. All right.
Wow.
So my very first semester, I'm DJing so much and being out. So
Thursday nights was the night.
Exactly.
And then you obviously
way,
pick up a Friday and a
my
Saturday.
heart, and my hardest class was at 7:25 a.m. Friday mornings. Right?
And when you're the DJ, you're the last one to leave the club.
I'm the last one to leave the club with my crates of records.
Yeah, and it's yeah. I
Long
remember.
story short, I lose a scholarship very first semester because I had to keep a threshold GPA, right? And that just died because I was more, into DJing than sitting in the classroom, and that's when reality hit. Again, Jamaican parents.
Yeah, they kicked your ass.
If you lose a scholarship, you die. You
Yeah.
lose scholarship, lose life. And I was like, hey, don't want to lose my life.
Yeah.
So I can't let them know I intercepted the letter.
No.
Swear to you. I waited, I think it took like a week and a half, every day getting home in time for the mailman to come. Finally, the letter came. I ripped it up, put it right in the gutter. And I sat there and I said, okay, now what? I still got to go to school,
Yeah.
right? I got to pay for it. So now everything's switched. Now I'm DJing to pay for school. Before I was DJing to put rims on the car
Oh my God.
and to buy Jordans
Yeah.
and to take the homies out. And
Yeah.
nah, now I set up an account. I call it the tuition account, the books account, whatever. And I'm DJing even harder now, paying. So now
They
that I
had
was
no
paying
idea
for
at
it,
this time.
they had no idea. They had no idea. So now that I'm paying for it, I got to get my money's worth. Right?
Yeah, no, now you going to class for real.
I'm getting to class early. I'm sitting in the front. It doesn't matter how late I was out, right? I got to class. I'm sitting in the front. I'm staying late to class, asking questions because I got to get it. I have to change the information, right? Then I'm like, what else does this place have to offer? All right. So I'm like, I'm getting involved, in different, committees.
Continue on the medical
groups.
path?
At that time I did. And then probably like 2 years in, I was like, you know what? I want to take up another major because I started getting involved in radio as well. So I did a communications broadcast,
Okay, great.
right, minor. And then that's what opened the door for me to do 99 Jams.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so I started doing an
remember that.
internship. Yeah, I did an internship at 99 Jams. And I'll tell you another quick
Yeah,
story,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
The reason why I was an intern. So I was the one, remember Albie Silk,
Yep.
right? What's up, y'all? What's
What's
it
it gonna
gonna be? Yeah. Who's on the mic? Would you help me, LB, right? So I was producing his show. So I was the one doing like the different segments. If they have like trivia or games and whatever, I was coming up with all that stuff. And I wasn't using ChatGPT either.
Oh, okay, there you go.
I was literally like having to
Yeah, you know.
And here's the funny thing, right? Nobody knew who DJ Irie was at the radio station,
Oh,
right? I was Ian
yeah.
from FIU,
Yeah.
the intern.
Not the DJ for playing in Hollywood.
At this point, at this point in time, I'm DJing for you guys, Chili Pepper Thursdays.
Yeah.
Right? Chili Pepper was like on fire. So I'm DJing there, right? But when I'm at the radio station, I'm just Ian the intern. One night out the blue, LB comes because he hears like, oh, this Thursday party is like on fire, right? He comes in, because remember, I'm set up, the whole stage thing, whatever.
Mhm.
He's like, Ian, my intern, what the hell are you doing here? You're DJing. He goes, you're DJ, Irie? And I was like, guess I have to take my cape off. He goes, tomorrow, get there an hour early and bring your records. You're DJing my show.
No.
I swear to you, just like that.
LB gave you that shot.
Just like that. I went from being the intern to being his mix show DJ. I did it Monday through Thursday, and the other guy that was there, whatever, he's let him keep Friday, right? He let me keep Friday, and I was doing Monday through Thursday, and then I eventually started doing 5 days a week.
You know what I gathered from I'm summing up this story from you is you approached it from such a humble perspective. You were in there working your ass off, not trying to flex. Yo, I'm a big DJ.
I was never gonna say anything.
You kept it like just.
I was there just to learn, right? Learn, because I wanted to learn the business, right? And I was just honored to be under the tutelage of someone like Albie at the time, right?
Man.
I was very close to the program director. Nobody there knew, that I was a superhero on the,
a superhero on the many of us. So many of us.
No one knew I was DJing, right? And it just happened. Everybody was like, wait, what? Oh, you're that guy? Like, oh my gosh. And then boom. It's crazy.
Holy moly. So would you say that was your first big break? Because you've had a lot of big breaks, right? You've
had a lot of breaks.
You just went through college. You're now putting yourself through college. And now you're at the station. You're playing all these bigger parties for the people that were our age at the time, right? I would say maybe there was older people or whatever. But then you went, and then something happened towards the tail end of FIU where you made a massive jump. I recall there was like a big move that went, and I think it had to do with the Heat, or was it there was moves that maybe happened before the Heat?
Yeah, so two things really. Number one, remember, it was my dream to DJ on Miami Beach. Remember, Miami Beach time was like this. Was winning music conference and all that. And we were doing stuff in the Grove together, but I wasn't really DJing on the beach like that, where my name's on the marquee and all that. And that was like a dream of mine,
Yeah, of course.
And so I did like little spot things here or there. But then I got the gig at Mansion.
Yes.
Doing Saturday nights.
That was level with Jerry Kelly.
The Boiler Room.
Yeah.
With Jerry Kelly and Noah.
Kelly and Noah.
Right?
Yeah,
this was like,
level was massive.
Hottest.
It was the year 2000.
It was 2000.
It was the year 2000. I remember because we opened Space. They opened in 99, 2000, and Space opened in March of 2000. I remember it was.
So here's my correct. So this was it was 99.
Yeah, it was 99.
Here's why.
November 99.
Correct. So here's why. My first, probably my first week or two there, I get word that these people from the Heat are asking about me, right? So my boy Steve Stowe, right? So these people, remember the American Airlines Arena opened 99-2000 season.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
So right at that time, they're like, hey, you know what? We want to get a DJ. So the first thing that happened was me getting, the residency at Level.
At a mega club.
Right? And then literally right after that, I have a chance meeting with my buddy Steve Stowe, right? Or a chance encounter with my buddy Steve Stowe. Steve Stowe goes back to the office at the Heat. Back then he was Pat and Chris Riley's assistant.
Got it.
Right? So he's walking through the halls, overhears them talking about, oh, we're trying to get a hold of this guy, DJ Irie. We think, we want to bring him in and talk to him about DJing. He's like, excuse me, you guys talking about DJ Irie? Like, yeah. They go, oh, I was just with him, the other day. I can call him. right? And he calls me and he's like, "Hey man, you should come down to the Heat and have a conversation." And
Sure, like, yeah.
well, here's the funny thing about it. This thing called keeping it real goes wrong, right? I go down there, I sit down with the marketing team, and they're telling me about the opportunity. We never talk about money or anything like that, right? We're just talking about like, what the opportunity would entail. And I start to understand who their season ticket holders are and what they expect, whatever. And I said, I'm not the right guy. What? Yeah. I said, I'm not the right guy because in my head, you know, what I was playing on my mix show and when I was playing at the clubs, and breaking new hip hop and reggae and all this kind of stuff, right? I wasn't gonna be doing that there, right? So I was like, well, hold on, I've built my identity over here. Like, I'm not gonna sell that out to do this other stuff over here.
Oh my God.
I gotta keep it real, right? And I said, thanks, no thanks. I don't think I'm the right guy for this. And I even said, hey, you should talk to these other guys. And yeah, yeah. So what was meant to be almost wasn't, right? And thank God, something struck a chord. There was this Josh and Larry Blocker and Jeff Crane, these guys, and they said, "Hey, you know what? Get him in here for another meeting. We're gonna try it with him. He's the guy that we gotta try it with."
You turned it down.
I did.
Maybe that's why they loved you so much and called you
It
back.
could be because then I went back. And when I went back, um, what really intrigued me was I asked them, "All right, well, you know, if I think about this, I wanna do some research. So how are they doing? How's the DJ do it in Chicago?" They go, "Chicago doesn't have it." Well, LA, New York. I'm going down. They're like, "This is a novel thing. We did our research. There's no official DJs in the NFL, but none in the NBA. Like
Took
this,
a massive
this
chance.
doesn't exist. We feel like, with our organization and being in Miami, this is the place that we can make it successful. And we want to do it with you." And I was like, "Okay, fail or succeed, I'll be the first."
Yeah, yeah.
I said, "All right." And they literally like handed me the key. They never said, "Hey, you know what? You can do it, but these are the parameters you have to work." They literally were like, "Have at it.
Make it happen.
Just make sure it's a family,
Yeah,
friendly,
yeah. No explicit lyrics.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. That's basically what it was. And they let me, make it my own. And it was a lot of misses,
Yeah.
before we had any hits, but I started to figure out the turning point was that, you know what? Yeah, I'm DJ Irie, but I'm DJ Irie in a Miami Heat game. I have my role, but people are here to see
So
these
many.
players. Yeah, see these players do their thing. My job is to just enhance that environment, right?
Yeah.
And add some energy and a different, and context to that environment, right? When I understood that, everything clicked. And it's about, us as Heat fans together rallying around the team, right? And my part is just bringing the soundtrack to that, right?
Yeah.
And then it just really, really, really clicked. And now, sitting here 3 championship rings later, I should have
Yeah.
brought some today, right?
Well, actually, I was about to ask you. You actually got championship rings.
I got 3, man.
Like they give them. Like you were the. That's a big deal.
Big shout
I
to
remember.
Big shout to Mickey Harrison because you know what? Before we won our first championship, in 2006,
Yes.
right? Before we won that first one, other teams that won championships, they were very limited into, who got
We got rings.
rings. But I think it was so special for Mickey and the ownership and leadership at the Heat. They wanted everyone to participate. So it wasn't like,
Just
okay,
players,
it was
yeah.
everybody and then everybody got,
Yeah.
everybody got rings.
That's amazing. It made you feel part of the family.
Oh my gosh, man. Oh
You'll
my
do anything for them.
And you know what? And then other organizations started to do that too. They're like, damn, man, Miami's doing it. We gotta do it.
When you include the entire team like that, they'll do anything.
Oh my
for
God.
you, right?
That's why, listen, Heat culture is a real thing.
Yeah.
You talk about it like, it's on t-shirts, whatever. No, it's a real thing. I've done a lot of, great things with a lot of great different organizations, whatever. That Miami Heat organization is truly, truly cream of the crop. Cream of the crop, top of the top. Take it from somebody that's, been in the system.
Yeah.
They're absolutely incredible.
So you're not playing any more games today, right?
No, I have my boy M. Dot.
But M. Dot is there.
Yeah. So I bought.
I've seen him at the games. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, 22 seasons.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a lot of games.
we've done it all. It's been absolutely amazing. but you gotta spread your wings. You know, I got other fish to fry.
Yeah. But, you know, I think that was another catalyst for you because it just put you in a different league from a commercial aspect, but
Oh,
also respected.
huge. Well, here's the thing about it. What what my position, they did two really big things, right? The first was, you know, everyone in the nightlife,
Yeah.
community knew who I was, right?
Yeah.
Even, other, adults that paid any kind of attention to what was going on, knew who I was, right? After, the first couple years with the heat, I had, you know, 7-year-old, kids coming up to me,
Yeah.
like in the street,
Yeah.
that's DJ Irie,
Yeah, because they saw you at the games.
Yeah,
Just sitting there.
I had,
Yeah, there's a couple dances left and right. And you,
and you know what? Their
"Put your
grandpa,
hands up."
their grandpa would also be like, "Hey, DJ,"
Household name.
and that's what that did, which was incredible.
The
The other
household
thing
name.
was the way brands perceived me. Because I had ideas of working with brands when I was just doing the nightclubs, but you're just the club guy,
Yeah, no, it's different.
right?
It's different. When you are just strictly nightlife, it's almost like it's a little
way
it's
different.
different. It's different perception.
Yeah. It's way different. So then, like, the categories outside of spirits,
Mhm.
the apparel category, the automotive category, these different categories, we're having different conversations,
Yeah.
and because of that juxtaposition. So it was been absolutely an incredible part, of my career, one that I wouldn't give up for the world. And I'm so glad that they had the insight to say, hey, no, we really want to try this with you, because I didn't have the insight.
I remember that turning point, and I remember big brands were, you had everything from
Dude.
bars and obviously spirits and beer
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and I think like communications and I mean it's just like
Oh, bro, T-Mobile,
yeah.
Pepsi, Carnival, Target.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was like amazing, amazing. And then,
At that point you started diversifying, like you became the business.
yeah, so that's when my eyes really opened up to there's a bigger opportunity here,
Absolutely.
right? I never really wanted to be that guy that was, you know, sleeping late, and then getting up,
Ugh.
having some cereal, playing some video games, right?
In your boxer still.
Yes, sleeping again, then getting up, going to the club, right? Doing your set,
Yeah.
you know, getting home, having more cereal, and
Ending
repeating,
up at
right?
a high hopper that
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I didn't I know I wanted more than that, right? And I always looked at DJing as more of a platform than just a job, right? But, that's what, starting to do these partnerships and work with these brands at a much higher level, opened up my eyes to a much bigger opportunity, right? And, what I said for myself was, okay, well, now that we have this relationship, right? We've opened up this communication. Yeah, it's great that, I'm a brand ambassador for them. But what else can we do?
yeah.
Right. And like one of the first ideas was, well, we'll get to Irie Weekend in a second, but
Yeah.
what my first idea was like, okay, well, outside of being a brand ambassador, how else can I, help, advance the messaging of their service or product,
Yeah.
right? And that was the question that I asked myself. I didn't have the answer at the time, right? Until Irie Weekend came along.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I wanna touch on Irie Weekend in a minute, but before we go there, when these brands came out to you, do you think a lot of it had to do obviously with your now a new perception of being with the Heat, more corporate,
Yeah.
but also the celebrity tie-in? Because you started when that Heat thing happened, I remember you being side by side with Shaq,
Yeah. Yeah.
D Wade,
Yeah.
and then before you know it, it was like Jamie Foxx, and before I know it, like
Yeah.
it's
You
all these
name it.
pictures of the old Irie.
Yeah.
Oh, like, cause I mean, this was, 20 plus years ago, maybe,
Yeah.
um, 18 years ago, and, you're already like, you're playing the clubs at night. By now, you have the Heat, mansions probably opened up around
And
then.
we're doing Friday
Hey,
nights.
Friday nights over there, you
Yeah.
and Mauricio are playing
And
together,
Mauricio.
doing your thing.
Saturday Night at Opium.
Yeah, you're like, and it's like, and the DJs, and like,
Yeah.
sorry, and the celebrities,
Mhm.
now the ball players, and before you know it, it's like,
Yep.
it's side by side. Did that have a catalyst also with the brands, or that was just kind of like
You
it
know
was
what?
icing on the cake?
No.
Or did any of
did.
them give you like a big break that took it to the next level?
I can tell you right now, probably the perfect storm was this. The perfect storm was starting to work with the brands, right? Then, obviously a lot of, celebrity, traction, right?
Yeah.
But the perfect storm was when I made the decision to start Irie Weekend, right? It was 2005
Okay.
was the very first one, right? And the very first one, it was quiet compared to what
Yeah.
it is now, right? But it was perfect because that very first one, we got it under our belts. So we're like, okay, cool. This is what it could be like, right? Then what happens in 2006? Championship.
That's what it
So
was.
here's what happened.
Yeah.
My
Shaq.
date for Irie Weekend was around my birthday. It wasn't because of my birthday. It was because that's usually when the season would wind,
Yeah, yeah,
right? And then Rizzo had his summer groove
yeah.
in July,
Yeah.
so I was like, okay, well, this is like the perfect little window, right?
And
This
you
happened
did it
to
in
be
June.
yeah,
was-
exactly. Yeah, it was like late June, right?
Yeah.
I
played in that one.
You did.
I did play in
Yes, you
that.
did.
I remember because
You
that's the
absolutely
first
did.
time I seen Shaq in person, and I'm like, this guy walks
Yeah,
in.
yeah,
This
he's
guy's
a
awesome, you know?
you absolutely were there. I remember like it was yesterday, right? The reason why it was a perfect storm was that when I picked the dates for Irie Weekend, right? When I picked those dates, I had no listen. If you'd have said, "Oh, the Heat are gonna win it," like what?
Yeah.
What do you mean? When we don't even get deep into the playoffs, much
Yeah.
less. You know what I mean? Like a season's just a season, and go on the next season. We get into the playoffs. We start going deeper into the playoffs, right? Remember, my date is set. It's marketed. We have
Yeah.
the tournament sold out. All the parties are sold out. Like it's a done deal, right?
Yeah.
I'm in Dallas with the team, right? We win. I believe it was a Wednesday. If I'm not mistaken, it was a Wednesday night, right? Um, when the clock struck midnight, it was my birthday, right? And I come back to actually I have to go to LA for Jamie. Then I come back to Miami, right? The parade is that Friday. Guess what else is that Friday? The first night of Irie Weekend.
Yes.
So that night I had my party at, I think it was a mansion then?
I think so.
I'm not sure it was mansion or level then, but
Mansion. It was mansion.
it was mansion by then?
It was mansion by then.
So mansion, that night I'm having my Irie Weekend party, which turned into the de facto Heat Championship party. Because it was already set.
Yeah.
And his family.
Yeah.
So Riley, Mickey, Alonzo, Shaq, everybody
Everyone.
was there. And just and everybody in Miami wanted to be there.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And it's like, oh, Irie Weekend. Oh, the Heat Championship. Next morning, Shaq, Udonis, everyone's at the golf course.
Yes.
Right? And that was the perfect story. So then so much attention was focused on that. And brands were like, yo, we missed out on this.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
no, so then everything went just like through the roof for the next following years.
Yeah, next following year.
And then boom, it happens again
Yeah.
on 2011 or 11,
Yeah.
12, 13.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
the big
Yeah.
three and all that. So those things like really, 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 put things on another level,
Wow. Is there anyone that in that era, is there like one individual that really like helped you like just
Well, two-
catapult it?
Well, I mean,
A couple people you
I would say a couple of people, honestly, well, 4 people.
yeah.
4 people that like really, I think it's one thing to have a juxtaposition being like, okay, you just happen to be there with them. It's another thing that like they're actually saying things and doing things and making an effort to want to see you succeed,
Yeah.
right? And be in a great position. Alonzo was that person for me.
Yeah.
Alonzo is that person, like with his summer group, whatever. He's like all the biggest parties, whatever. Like, yo, Irie has to be there,
Great.
right? I remember one summer groove, he had Usher perform
Wow.
at the Hard Rock,
Yeah.
and the organizer said, "Oh yeah, we're gonna put your booth on the side, whatever." Zoe stepped and said, "No, he's got to be on stage."
Oh my God. That's great.
Oh, but no.
He's
He's got to be on stage, right?
Yeah.
So Alonzo, Shaq, of course, right? Shaq is the kind of dude. Shaq, when Shaq puts his arm around you, I mean, not only is it intimidating, no, but when he puts his arm around you, it's truly, especially because Shaq is magical, man.
He is.
That magical dust kind of just rubs off on
Yeah.
you, right?
Yeah.
And there's so many really, 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 amazing events and um, just opportunities that came up where Shaq was like, "Yo, I always got to be a part of this."
Yeah. I mean, I see you now, even still today.
Still today,
You're
look,
playing
look at
the
Fun
Funhouse.
House,
Yeah,
right?
Funhouse.
Shaq has never and will never do a fun house without me,
Yeah.
because it's just what it is,
Yeah.
And when Shaq wanted to get into DJing,
Yeah.
he made one call and I was there, and I said, "Yo, let's do it. Let's get you the equipment and
go.
let's start working on it." Right? And look at him today.
Oh my
Right?
God, that's amazing.
You know,
Yeah.
Jamie Foxx, the same thing, man. And Jamie was like, "Yo, I'm having this big birthday." Oh, no, I remember Jamie. One of the most amazing events of my life, my career, what's amazing? Iron Man.
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. Jamie calls and said, "Hey, man, Robert wants me to produce his birthday for him." He goes, "Let's give him the best party he's ever seen." I go, "What?" He goes, "Yep. This is my travel person's calling you right now. Get your flights booked. Let me know what you need for your feet. Me and you, let's rock this thing out."
Wow.
And me and Jamie on stage on Robert Downey Jr.'s birthday. Every star on the planet is there. Like, it was just unbelievable, but he literally said, "Hey, come and be a part of this." That's happened so many times, um,
Wow.
and Dwayne Wade.
Yeah.
Dwayne Wade.
Well, those
For
are
the
some,
win,
those
I
are
think those guys,
four big names and four guys that were like, I want him.
yeah, and really went out of the way to really put me in great situations.
You got
And
that.
so
You got that. They rubbed off on you, man. So
yeah. Oh, no. And so many others.
yeah,
And
I'm sure there's two.
and yeah, and bigger or smaller ways, whatever. And listen, this path that I've been on, right, is not something that happened in a silo,
No.
but it's just everything that I can sit here and say that I've been a part of is because of really, really amazing people, including yourself, seriously, I mean, including yourself, that have believed in me and said, "Hey, you know what? I got an opportunity for you. Or, hey, this could be good for you," and I've tried to do my best to,
Well,
deliver.
you've always approached it from such a humble sort of, I will work harder than anybody else. I'll always do the right thing. You've always come with that great attitude.
Yeah.
And it's,
Well,
you never try to flex on anybody. You've never tried to
not just deliver.
just you
Just
you, you say what you're gonna do and you do it,
know
and
what?
that's it.
You know what my personal mantra was when I um decided not to go into the medical field
Yeah.
and really, try this DJing thing as a real business, right?
Yeah.
Um, my first time working with a event producer doing a private event, right? I remember, it's always stuck with me. She she reached out to me and says, "Hey, you know what? My client, they saw you at the club, whatever. They love to have you." I said, "Okay, cool, yeah." And we do the deal, right? And then she called me probably twice a day between, like, talking about, music I was gonna play, how I was gonna dress, what time I was gonna, like, all these things. And I was like, I get it because she doesn't know me, right? But I said, I wanna be the guy that you call once. That you call once. Event producers are busy people.
Yeah.
They're juggling, you know this, right?
Yeah.
They're juggling all these different things, right? Imagine having a resource, right? A DJ that you make one phone call and
It's handled.
the music's gonna be right. They're gonna be on time. They're gonna be dressed appropriately. All the different things that you get. You can put that. Worry about your caterer.
Yeah. Don't worry about the other shit.
Worry about your florist.
Yeah.
That is who I wanted to be, right? And I always kept that in mind, and I think, approaching it that way kept everything in check, in that, okay, well, if the music's right, that's cool. right? And that's super, super important. But man, he's a pleasure to work with, right?
Yeah.
And no issues.
Yeah, no, of
And
course.
guess what? People want to work with people that they're not going to have any issues with.
Yeah. No,
Right?
you're running on all cylinders. You have a lot of moving parts. You gotta make sure that everything else is running according to plan,
Absolutely.
and you can count on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's like a team. You gotta be able to count on your teammate to catch the ball when you're throwing it.
That's it. That's it. Well, you know what? When it comes to, the music and the DJ, you already know
You're good.
he's in the end zone.
You're good.
Right?
You're good.
He's the end zone. You know what I'm saying?
You brought up Irie Weekend, and I gotta ask you, how did you come up with the Irie Foundation? That, by the way,
Yeah.
every time I get a chance and I'm around, I love to play. I mean,
Yeah, you've
most
always
face it,
supported, man.
I've always
18 years, dude.
it's one of the funnest times. I gotta tell you, 3 times I've played, and 3 times my celebrity partner was Luther Campbell, Uncle Luke.
Oh, you got a good look.
Uncle Luke's always been my partner.
He's a G, man. He's
I
a
love
G.
talking to Uncle Luke. I think he would even come by the wharf every so often. I ran into him and I reminded him, hey, we played together. It's like, no, that's right. So it was really good, especially as a little kid that my parents would break the tapes and CDs because it had bad words.
Yeah, right.
But
Wait, so what?
but yeah, so that what? Anyways, but I as an experience, it was always surreal seeing all the celebrities there that I was playing.
So cool.
But there's a deeper thing to that, and
Yeah.
and I just got to know how and why, because
Yeah, this is actually pretty interesting.
I think every single entrepreneur hits a point in their life where, okay, I'm doing okay,
Yeah.
but I want
Yeah.
to do something more for people that
Yeah, man, for sure, for sure. So, this is actually pretty interesting because there's a part that I skipped purposely, talking about Hot Wheels and all
yeah,
that, right? Um, you know, Irie Weekend started before Irie Foundation,
okay,
right? I mean, years before, right? And when I started Irie Weekend, it was strictly off the premise of at that time, people like Alonzo, like Shaq, um, Dan Marino, you name it.
yeah,
All these, really high profile, people that were doing their own events and their own initiatives, community initiatives would call me and say, hey, can you come out and be a part of this? Hey, can you come support? Can you, do this or do that? And as long as I had the capacity, it was always yes, right? Because I love to see what they were doing for the community, right? And if I can be a part of that, absolutely, let's go, right? Um, Especially Alonzo, because I got to, really like
his own summer
get under the
grooves.
hood. Yeah, not only so it's cool because on with Alonzo, I was on both sides of it. I was on the group side where it's like fun and you're raising the money and all that, and then I would go visit schools with him and
Oh,
talk to kids,
that's great.
right? And see the impact that his work and the fruits of the groove were having on these kids. And it was like mind blowing, right? And I was like, wow, he doesn't have to do this, right? But he does this out of the goodness of his heart and he's, getting results, right? He's changing these kids' lives. And that was just so powerful for me. And I was like, wow, you know what? Um, am I doing enough?
Yeah,
Right? Am I doing enough just, showing up, right? What if I were to pick up the phone and call some of these same guys and say, hey, come and support me, right? I want to, have a real, tangible, impact on my community, and help kids and fund, different things that I think need to be funded, right? And it was always yes, yes, for sure. I'll be there, right? And, when I got the first Art Weekend done, it was so inspiring to see the outpour of support, Um, it was full circle for me because going back to Hot Wheels, remember I told you I learned to mix and all that, right?
yeah.
But that didn't happen out of thin air. I didn't have remember the turntable I had was called a direct drive. You know what that was? When you use turntables, you press the button and the arm comes up
Yes,
and
and it
goes
gets-
over
yeah,
it,
yeah,
drops,
and it
right?
falls on it.
Right. You can't DJ on that.
No.
Okay,
You should do the pennies on top of it.
Yeah, exactly. So it stays on it. Yes,
So it stays on top. Yeah.
you can't. That's what I had in my bedroom. Right. I didn't have real DJ equipment. Right. Biggest part of that because it's super expensive. To get a proper set, it was at least probably $7,500, 10 grand, right? To get 2 new techniques,
Yeah.
you know, a really good mixer,
Yeah.
you know, like
Expensive.
it was expensive, really, really expensive, right? And I didn't have that, right? And I wasn't gonna ask my parents for that either,
Mid 1200.
right? I was like, why should we spend this kind of money on my kid that's going to be a doctor? Well, I'm not gonna spend thousands of dollars on a DJ set for him,
Oh
right?
my God.
So I didn't even ask, right?
No, you got
And
a fake school too.
yeah,
I mean, you're
right, right. So there was a guy. His name was DJ Lips. It was Frank Rodriguez, right? And Frank was a DJ, but he also had like a rental business on the side.
got it.
And he got word that I was like, you know, trying to really get my stuff together, right? Because he was doing stuff at Hot Wheels too, right? And he said to me, "Hey, come by my shop." I said, "All right, cool." He's like, "I got some for you. I'll go by the shop." He's like, "Put this in your trunk. 2 turntables and mixer and all the cables." And I said, "How much is it gonna cost?" Right? He goes, "No, no, no. I'll let you borrow it."
Wow.
He goes, "Don't even worry about it. It's on me. Like, just borrow it, but just make sure you practice as much as possible."
Frank.
Right? Frank Rodriguez, right? And this part always chokes me up a little bit. And so you know, 2 pristine Techniques turntables, you know, badass mixer, right? Techniques mixer. So I go home, I set it up, and I remember after the first week, I'm morning, noon, and night, I'm on it.
You're on it.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm on it. I'm getting my mixing down. I'm getting my scratching down. I'm on it. I'm on it. A week passes, and I call him. I said, "Hey, man, want me to bring your stuff back? You know, this weekend I practiced all week. You know, I think I'm getting a little better." He goes, "Oh, that's great." He goes, "No, keep practicing. I'll call you when I need it." Right? I said, "All right, cool." It's like 2 more weeks go by. I'm like, "Man, I gotta get this guy's stuff."
Yeah. Now you feel bad.
"Hey, Frank, what time can I bring it by?" He goes, "You've been practicing?" I go, "Every single day." He goes, "Then keep practicing. I'll let you know." He goes, "As a matter of fact, do me a favor. Don't call me on this again. Like, I want you to have it and practice on it. When I need it, I'm gonna call you and I'll swing by and pick it up."
Wow.
I go, "You sure?" He goes, "Bro, just hold on to it. I promise you I'll call you when I need it." I go, "All right, cool, man." Months passes. 2 months pass. 3 months pass. To the point where I don't even really see him around anymore, right? He ended up getting into other stuff, right? Um, I tried reaching him, couldn't reach him. That number wasn't good anymore, right? And I have his decks, his gear, yeah. Years go by. Years go by, and this thing called Facebook gets
Yeah. Yeah.
invented, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, it says, "Hey, you should friend this person, friend this person," right? I found him, and I got an address on him, and I said, "You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna send this guy a check."
Oh my God.
At this point in time, like I've done
Yeah.
well for myself, you know, I've saved up some money, whatever. And I said, "You know what? I want to send him a check of what I think he lost of all these years he could have been renting this equipment out."
My God.
Right? And it was a check worth way more
It was.
than the turntables, right? And I sent it to him. And back then I'm balancing my own checkbook, you know, whatever,
Holy shit,
right?
man.
And
That's the
so
big
every month, whatever, when the statement comes in, I'm balancing my other. It's not cashed. It's not cashed. It's not cashed. It's not cashed. Happened to be on Facebook again later on. This is like, again, probably a year or 2 down the line. And I see a picture of him in his office with a frame. And I know my checks because I had them specialized with turntables on, whatever.
Uh-huh.
And the check was in the.
Holy shit.
Never
Holy
cashed it.
shit. Never cashed it.
Never cashed it.
My God.
Frank, if you see this, I love you, brother. You ain't getting that check now. Honestly. Actually, you know what's funny? I did run into him about 2 years ago when Hot Wheels was closing.
No
He
way.
came. And I said, man, Frank, I love you. I said, listen, if you ever need anything, I got you. But yeah, that check definitely.
You can't cash it out.
I said,
Oh
but
my
you know, you can call me for anything, man. You know?
Oh my God. I got choked up on hearing this thing, man. This
dude.
is great.
So what am I supposed to do? E? Like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Here I am, exactly, right? Here I am living a dream,
Yeah.
right? Living a dream directly because of Frank, directly because of all these other people that have supported me and put me in a position to win, right? Am I supposed to just ride the wave?
Yeah.
Right? Oh, this is great.
Yeah,
You know what
no.
I mean, another round, right? No. You know, yeah, of course I'm gonna enjoy the fruits of my labor, but I'm also gonna say, who else can we lift up? Right?
Wow.
Who else can we help put in a position to win? Right? And let's help as many people as possible. Right? Let's touch as many people as possible. And that's, what was behind the Irie Foundation. Also, there's an organization called is it TF Teachers for America? I think I'm saying it wrong. I think it's called Teachers for America. But anyway, I was a teacher for a day. They came to me, hey, you want to be a teacher for a day? I said, yeah, for sure. They put me at Edison.
Okay. Yeah,
Right.
Edison, yeah.
Edison was a little rough back then.
Yeah.
It was a little rough, And I went over to I went to Edison, and had a great time. And at the end of Edison is across the bridge. Okay, like literally, if you're on the beach,
Yep.
across one exit.
Yeah.
Right. It'll take you from Edison to the sand. Take you 12 minutes tops.
Yeah.
Tops, if even that. Right. Um, I let kids ask some questions. This one young man who was in high school said, "Hey, where do you live?" I said, "Oh, I live on Miami Beach." And he said to me, his face lit up. He goes, "Yo, do you go to the beach, like, the sand and the water and all that?" I go, I don't really have time. Not much of it. I've been a couple times, but I go, wait, why would you ask me that? I said, you've been to the beach, right? He looked at me with this blank face. He goes, nah, man. I go, what? You've never been to the beach? Nah, that's beyond the block. He had never left his block. He's in high school. So guess what? They haven't been to the beach. They haven't been to a heat game. They haven't been to the art show. They haven't been to anything culturally significant to give them perspective
Yeah.
on life and what life has to offer, right?
Yeah.
Nothing culturally enriching, right? And remember, we're telling them, work hard. You can get a scholarship. You can go to any school you want and be successful, right? What we're forgetting about it is, what if they feel socially inferior, right? What happens when they work hard and they can actually, write an essay and they can solve a math problem, right? And they get into FSU, they get a full scholarship. And in their very first semester there, they go check into their dorm, and their dorm mates are talking about, their summer in Europe, right? Traveling to the West Coast, doing all the, cool things that a lot of other kids get to do. And they're like, I was just on my block.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. He didn't leave
And
it.
they have nothing to
Really?
contribute. Like literally nothing. You feel like you don't belong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's just one particular scenario, but holistically, looking at it, it's a real thing where kids, are smart. Kids are, driven, but feel like they don't belong because they had never got these experiences. And my very, very first iteration of the Irie Foundation was trying to level that playing field and giving kids experiences, right? Everything from going to Disney World to a beach picnic, right? To trying out yoga and Pilates,
Yeah.
to anything that has a barrier of entry to it.
Yeah.
We wanted to get them.
Remove the
So,
barrier.
yeah, so
Get 'em in
yeah,
there.
kids can get a basketball and go to a basketball court. You can't just walk onto a golf court,
No,
right?
can't.
A,
Tennis
a,
court either.
a golf course, right? You can't just walk into a tennis. You got to have the tools, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, let's give them these experiences so they can at least share in what it's like to experience it firsthand. And if they really do like it and they want to continue and try to excel at it, we can help them do that as well.
Oh my God. Now, do you actually go with them when you do it, or do you?
I have. I mean, we do it so often that I
Yeah.
can't, go all the time. But we have an amazing team. But yeah, so like I do the golf clinics with them. I
Yeah.
do the tennis clinics with them.
Fascination.
And it's yeah, and it's you know what I mean. And it's awesome. It's awesome. Is it like every kid should have these experiences. You should.
Wow.
These kids shouldn't just like we talk about. Their academics and they should be able to excel in their academics and have the access to the knowledge base to do that, right?
Yeah.
The cultural side of it, I think, is just
Is important.
yeah,
It is. I mean, books are only
books are
so much
books.
of it.
Yeah, exactly. But
But
there's a whole real world out there, right?
yeah,
And to say that, hey, you know what, I've gotten to experience,
experience, human connection.
yeah, a vast majority of what is out there to offer, I think prepares them for the next chapter in their life just as much as their academics.
How many years have Irie Foundation now been around?
We started 2011.
Got it.
Yeah,
13, 14 years.
yeah,
14 years.
yeah.
The next Irie Weekend, you moved it to, and I remember
Right on the year. Well,
a storm and whatnot.
we
Kids
thought we were saying. Listen, let me tell you
should be
something.
safer, right?
Let me tell you. Let me tell you. Let me tell you something,
I was like,
bro.
it's because you moved it from July,
So
June.
it was June. It was
Yeah.
June. Actually, no, we never really touched July. It was always like
June.
late June, right?
Yeah.
It was always before 4th of July, right? And it was like that. We had that wave all the way up until 2019. It was and it kept getting hotter
Yeah.
and hotter,
Yeah.
and rain too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we said, okay, you know what, guys? What really was the catalyst for that was obviously the weather, but we didn't always have the gala.
No.
The gala came along. I think it was 2016, 17. We started doing the gala, right?
Yeah.
But we plateaued because, you know, the people that we need to come to the gala, they're in Europe.
Yeah, they get out of town in June.
They're in the Hamptons, right? They're in the West Coast. There are all these other places, not in Miami. And it's like, okay, wow, you know what? We're putting so much resources, time, and energy into maximizing this opportunity, and it can't get any bigger or better because the people just aren't here. And that's when we made the decision. Hey, you know what? Let's try moving it to October.
I think that's a great move, technically, right?
Technically, so
Technically, yeah.
so 2019,
In theory.
yeah. So 2019, we moved to October. Amazing. The only thing that suffered was that we didn't really get the same, NFL players and NBA players, whatever, that can participate because they get into season.
Yeah.
July was kind of perfect because it's kind of like the only time where everybody's off. Yeah, off season for a lot of the
NBA
sports.
and NFL, yeah.
Yeah, so we get these guys to come out, but it's all good. But the gala was the biggest one we ever did, right? Broke records. It was a huge success. That year we had Future perform on the 11 Beach Club, and we had T-Pain and Clef at the gala, and like it was just amazing, amazing, amazing. That's 2019. 2020, obviously,
COVID, yeah.
is a wrap, right?
2020 and
2021,
yeah.
right? 2021, we were ready to do it, but we couldn't get the level of sponsor buy-in because they were like, oh, it was not how it works. Yeah, everybody, they want to be real careful. So now 2022, we finally get enough buy-in to say, okay, we can do it, right? And by the time we pulled it all together, say, hey, you know what? We got to do it in December, right? So we do it in December, right after Basel. And that was like scary because, everybody goes all out for Basel,
Yeah.
like people they spend all their money and
Yeah.
they're partied out, but it was still super successful. We had a great event, that was the comeback event. So now we say, okay, cool. Now that we've come back, we're going to go ahead and do it as usual in October, right? So, we did October of this is what, 23 now, right? Great event, like amazing event. We're like, yo, we back. And now we're like, okay, let's do all the things. So in 2023, we did our gala, but we did it a little safer because we did it at Giselle, in a restaurant. Usually we remember in 2019, we did it at the Fina Forum. And kind of built it all out, right? But I said, let's not go crazy yet,
I remember that one.
Let's get back on our feet, whatever. So we finally felt like, okay, we're back on our feet. And I said, okay, well, let's get a ship.
I remember that.
I said, let's get a brand new $1.2 billion ship called the Sun Princess to do our gala.
Yeah.
We lock it down. The date's gonna be, now we're in 2024, right?
Yeah.
The date's gonna be 10/10.
I remember I was gonna go with my wife.
The date was 10/10/24. That was the kickoff event, right? And then we had, obviously, we had the I had 50 Cent was gonna be performing X11. I had Gunna, I had Liv, and it was a whole, man. I mean, this was gonna be big, right? We said, yo, let's open the spigot. Like, let's go. We're going back full. Oh, by the way, Pitbull, Chainsmokers on the ship
Yeah.
for the Thursday, right? So this is gonna be by far the biggest event we've ever put on, biggest investment we've ever made in the event. This dude Milton said,
Oh, yeah.
So Milton,
Hurricane,
all that, even though
nothing happened, but
obviously,
and then he couldn't.
at that point,
It was coming right at us.
It was somebody. Listen, we got lucky.
We got really
Listen,
lucky.
tell us to do it all over again, we still would have made the same decision.
Yeah.
But it was tough, man. It was tough. That was the first time we ever took
Took an L.
an L. I mean, I'm talking about like the capital L,
Yeah.
the big L's, like
Yeah.
it was the capital L. You know what I mean?
Wow.
It was a capital L. But hey, listen,
Back
yeah,
in
that was year 18.
Yeah.
We had done. I mean, not only have we done 18 successful year, up until 18, successful years, even through the economic downturn,
Yeah.
we're able to still
Pop
produce
through
an
it.
event and have it be a successful event. So,
You think it'll be in October this coming year?
no,
Go to December?
we're gonna. I think we're eyeing a November scenario. Yeah, we're eyeing a November, and it gets a little tricky. I mean, listen, November is great in terms of, the weather is great. You don't have to, you're not worried about the hurricanes. Weather's much better. But it's a little, we kind of pride ourselves in our position because we're out of the fray of gala season.
Yes.
And because there's all these really amazing events that start in November around the holidays, which do great. And I was like, okay, you know what? That's them. And and I loved us being in June, July, and then I love this being kind of ahead of it in October. And I'm like, now I know why you guys don't do October. Yeah, you should have told me, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we might just join the fray or whatever. But we're thinking about doing a destination event.
Okay.
Yeah,
Destination.
yeah, I think about making a destination event.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, I think it will be. I think it's time. If we are gonna do it during that time, let's do.
That's a great time to do it.
Yeah, so
You just mentioned taking an L, and look, and all the, obviously, the vision you had for Irie Weekend and the Irie Foundation. You're a businessman, an investor, a visionary, obviously an entertainer. You have all these businesses and everything that you do. How do you handle it all? How do you keep it, you keep it real, but you also make it look so effortless? Effortless.
fear. I'm dead ass serious, man. Different people have different motivators, right? I realize that my motivator is fear.
Really?
Yeah, and you know what's funny? And not only with
Fear of?
we could say fear of failure. You could say fear, but it's I think it goes even more than that, right? When you have very high expectations for yourself, it's not even about failure in the eyes of others. It's about failure to the person that you have to face the truth. Because you can lie all day to people. You can lie to,
Yeah.
you can't lie to yourself.
No.
Because guess what? You know.
You know.
You know you.
You
know what I'm saying?
Ain't getting around that.
Guess what? You gotta look in that mirror.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You gotta
So
sleep
when
at
you can spin shit, whatever, but you can't do it to yourself. Right? And when you hold yourself to a high degree of performance, a high degree of results, based processes, right? All these things, and you fall short on that, it feels terrible. It feels, at least for me, right?
Yeah.
Because and I don't want to feel that way, right?
Yeah.
Especially on things that I can control. One thing if I can't control it.
Yeah.
But if you end up in that situation because you didn't do this thing that you were supposed to do, whether you forgot, whether you didn't do it to your full ability, whatever, it's still on you. It's on you,
Yep.
right? And I can't accept that. I'm just being I can't if it's something that I can control, I can't accept not delivering. I can't accept it, right? And this whole fear-based approach, to be honest with you, has worked for me. Not just in like, but put it this way, when I moved to the beach, right? I bought a house in Kendall
Yep.
and I sold it and I made some money on it, right? And I said, okay, man, you know what? These up all night meetings on the beach take like 20 minutes, but I'm in 2 hours of traffic. I said, I was at the beach. I know.
I remember, right? The angels of
But now,
paradise.
yeah. but now I'm at like, fast forward, the meetings are now, at Mansion or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I said, man, I got to move to the beach. This is not efficient at all, And when I moved to the beach, I found a place that I really, really wanted, right? And the place was over $1 million for this place, right? And remember, in my business, I'm not in a situation where like, okay, I know for a fact I got 20, 30 grand, whatever, coming in every month. Like, that's going to happen. I don't know that.
It could change from one day.
It could change. I mean, it could be less. It could be more. It could be nothing.
Yeah.
You don't know, right? You
Yeah.
just don't know, right? But I really wanted this place. I didn't really know if I was going to be able to afford it, right? But I said to myself, you know what? When I signed that paper and committed myself, not only did I commit myself to that particular piece of real estate, I committed myself to make it happen. One way or the other, right? Because this place has to get paid. I'm not going to fail and lose it.
No, of course.
I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make it, you know what I mean? Same way when I purchased my first, luxury vehicle, whatever,
Yeah.
right? Am I going to be able to, make the
For it. Yeah.
You know what? When you sign on, that dotted line, something changes.
It does.
Right?
It does. You hold yourself to a higher standard.
You hold yourself to a higher standard and say, you know what? It's got to get done.
Yeah.
And I take that same approach in these different hats, that I wear. And listen, man, yeah, it gets hard. Do things fall through the crack sometimes? Absolutely, right? Do things
Human.
Yeah. Do things go, not exactly to plan sometimes? For sure.
Yeah.
Right? But as long as my approach is one of put your best effort forward, right? And do the best you possibly can, and then a little more, right? I'm okay, and it's worked for me thus far.
Was your first business venture outside of entertainment and DJing? Was it artist related? Was it the DJ thing?
It was artist related,
Uh-huh.
right? Um, and wow, that's such a incredible. So I pinch myself right now sitting here with that business and that story.
Is it
because-
still around today?
Is it still around today? That is the biggest revenue driver of the whole, right? I can tell you, listen, yesterday I sent off offers to Dolly Parton, Miley Cyrus, and Adam Lambert, right? I remember watching, what was it, Burt Reynolds,
Uh-huh.
and Burt and Dolly
Yeah.
as a little kid,
Yeah.
seeing like, wow, look at
Oh, I just got goosebumps.
like the biggest stars, like Dolly Parton, dude, like Dolly Parton. And here I am, and I'm paying her.
Oh, man, that's
Right?
the fact that she's still performing.
Not only paying her, I'm paying her to be in Italy for something, right? Like it's beyond my wildest dreams, man. And it's all because you took the risk.
Yeah.
You gotta take a risk, right?
And it started with smaller
It start-
DJs and just
Dude,
like
it
your
started
friends.
with $300 DJs,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's and you know what? A big person behind it, I gotta give him, his props, is Roman Jones.
Yep.
And if you want, I'll tell the story.
Yeah. Please.
So it got to so the first thing that happened, which was my idea was, at this point in my career, it was still pretty early, right? But like I was like that dude that people wanted to have at their special events, whatever. I was cool, all good. But people would call me, "Hey man, can you play, this bar mitzvah or whatever?" I can't. I'm already booked. Hey, do you know somebody that would be good for it? Actually, I do. My boy E-Rock,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I'd be like, "Hey, here's E-Rock's number. Give him a call," right? And then 2 months later, that same person would call me, "Hey, can I get that guy E-Rock again? I have another party, whatever." I'm like, "Well, why aren't you calling them?" I go, "As a matter of fact, hold on." I said, "Wait a second. We can handle this for you."
Yeah,
Right? And
yeah.
that was the
By
idea.
the way, now they could just make one phone call and they know it's gonna be handled,
Exactly.
which is what your premise
That
is
was the
on
whole
everything.
exactly,
Yeah.
right? That I realized at that point is there are a lot of DJs out there that are really solid DJs that don't really have the marketing chops or the gift of gab to get themselves out there,
Yeah.
right? To put them in the right situations where they could excel and showcase their talent, right? And there are a lot of event producers, people holding events, whatever, that they know about their event, but they don't know the right DJ to get, for their event. And here I come, I know all the DJs like the back of my hand,
Yeah.
right? I can read your event like the back of my hand. I know
Well,
the
who
right
could
fit.
yeah,
Yeah. And I said, "Well, that's a business."
it is.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, boom, we get off the ground. I tell Roman about it. Roman's like, "This is an amazing idea." He goes, "Matter of fact, what you should do? You should bring my uncle on board, right? A guy named Kevin." He goes, "Kevin used to be my dad's, Roman's dad's
Yes.
partner,
Yeah,
right?
Foger, yeah.
Huge, huge legendary band." And Kevin worked with them, right?
He's like a real rock star.
Real rock star, right? So Roman's like, "How about this? Bring Kevin on board as your partner, right? And what I'll do for you, I'll make Artist Related the exclusive booking agency for all of my venues." So now that's guaranteed
Yeah, revenue.
revenue, right?
Yeah.
And for recruiting DJs, "Hey, by the way, you wanna play at Mansion? You wanna play at
Mansion,
Opium,
Opium,
whatever?
yeah. All the other
Gotta
places.
sign right here," right?
Yeah, of
Right?
course.
And so the roster grew like that, right? And, opportunities good. So it's rolling, right? The only thing is it was so labor intensive for razor thin margins.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that always bothered me because, like, how do you scale when it's like so labor intensive and the margins are so tiny, right? And that always kind of bothered me, right? And I was like, well, but you know what? Okay,
Get everybody
it's
working.
working, whatever.
You like that
Yeah,
a little bit,
exactly.
but it's
We're making
still
a little. We're making a little bit of like
I mean,
a
how
little.
like a
For
DJ's getting paid $500. How much could you really charge them, right? Like,
exactly. Listen, if these are making $500, where the company's making like $40,
yeah, I was about to say,
right?
yeah, you can't
And then you're dealing with the client, making sure that they're on time. You're getting all the details, whatever. It's labor intensive, right?
yeah.
So, Jamie Foxx gives me the light bulb. I forgot who it was, but somebody, even it could have been Roman, whatever. It was one of these clubs. They said, "Hey, we saw you hanging out with Jamie. Is he still gonna be in town this weekend?" I said, "Yeah, I think so." "Yo, you have DJ such and such there. You think we can get Jamie to host as well? We got a budget."
Yeah.
I go, "Yeah, sure. What do you want?" And they gave a pretty big number, right? It was just short of six figures, right? I go to Fox, I say, "Hey, Fox, you want anyone?" "I'm down, let's do it." It was the same process, probably even a little easier, right?
Yeah.
I said, "Wait a minute. This commission looks way different than the other. One of these two are not the same." Right?
Yeah.
So that's when the light bulb went on. I said, "Damn, it's the same process. It's the same effort, right? I know all of these celebrities, right?" I said, "You know what? I wanna switch gears and focus more on the celebrity market,"
Yeah.
right? Um, and, Kevin had a disagreement. We had a disagreement over it, right? And I was like, "Well, listen, I'm all in on this, um, literally all in on it. So if you're not, with this approach, I'll buy you out." And we made a deal. I bought him out, and, if he sees this, he probably might be a little sick, but, "Kev, I love you, man. It's all good, hey." you know, Steve Jobs, Wozniak, you know. But I'm playing with you, man. I'm playing. But but dude, so I started that. Things started slow, you know. And I was worried, like, wow, am I doing the wrong thing? You know, like,
Yeah.
and you worked because he's my buddy, but you know what? Little by little,
Only so many times you can book Jamie, right?
little by little. Matter of fact, the funny thing about it is, and this is on the business side of things,
Yeah.
right? I almost two things happened where I almost lost it all twice. Twice. The first thing that happened was because I'm thinking now, okay, cool. Remember, when you are doing with deals with celebrities and much higher price, the stakes are now higher as well.
Yeah.
Okay. And I remember I'd say it was I booked Flow. This is when Flow was like
Yeah. Blow it up.
Flow still is, but
Yeah.
this is on the
Yeah,
right?
yeah, on the rocket ship.
Like record after record after record, like he's up. And I was working with this group that was doing parties for ESPN, for the ESPYs after party, right? It wasn't official, but they were like the biggest ESPYs after party. And I worked with them for 2 years. 1 year, I had LMFAO
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah.
That went great. First year, I didn't do the talent. Second year, I did LMFAO. That was the third year. And they're like, "Hey, who should we get?" I said, "Man, you know, Flo, well, can we crush it?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it," right? And we make a deal, and it's a six-figure deal, right? And they send a deposit, send half of it, send, so we're good. They're supposed to send the back end. You know how this goes, right?
Yeah.
Like a couple days before, right? It doesn't come. Call them, hey man, we got to get, you know, Flo is. They go, oh, you know what? The sponsor paying for that, they're a little delayed. It's gonna be, it's gonna hit the day of, so you know, we'll have it ready for you today. Remember, this is in LA, so he's gotta get on the plane. Flo calls me like, hey man, you know, what's going on? Yo, we're good. Trust me, money's guaranteed. We're good to go. Let's just go out there, right? And I'm DJing as well, right? Let's go out there. It'll be all good, right? Okay, cool. He's out there. He's like, yo, bring the money to the hotel. No problem. Hey, listen, I need to pick up that money. Oh, give us a few. We'll be there. They don't show up, right? He's already in LA. They call me like, hey, listen, we'll have the money at the venue, right? They're gonna get it over to us. Just come to the venue, be ready. All right, cool. I already worked with them the year before, so I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, there's nothing, you know, nefarious here, right?
Yeah.
So we get to the venue. They go, here you go. What's this? It's a company check. It was supposed to be cash.
Yeah.
All right. They go, oh yeah, no, we couldn't get to the bank in time, whatever, but it's all good. You know, the funds are on the account, and you know, here you go. You get back to Miami with this cash, you're good to go. Okay, cool. Well, here you go. What's this? Right? I promise you it's fine. We get back to Miami. I'm he does a show, amazing, crushes it. Get back to Miami. Um, this was like so Saturday, so Tuesday, I get a call. We got a problem. Oh, Flo's manager. All right, we got a problem. Check bounce. We need this money right now. What's going on? Well, hold on, hold on. Call them, call the client. The check bounced. Like, what the hell? You told me the money. Oh, no, no, it just cleared. It just cleared. Looking at it right now, it just cleared. It just haven't redeposited. As a matter of fact, we'll even send the fees, whatever, you know, cover that. Please, please make sure it goes through. It bounces again. You know how I know it bounces again? 'Cause these guys are at my door of my office.
Holy shit.
They're from,
Yes.
they're from Carol City.
Yeah, man. You don't fuck with that.
No,
No.
you don't. You know, at that time, the um, the balance I had in my account. Let me back up a little bit. At that time, I knew what I had to do,
Yeah.
and it wasn't even about the physical.
Yeah.
That good. It was more about, and not that they threatened me with it, but I listen. I know the game.
Yeah, no.
You don't play.
You don't play with people.
You don't play with people's money like that, right? I knew what I had to do because I told him
It was all good.
it was all good, and he did this on my word.
Yeah.
I knew what I had to do. right? And doing what I had to do was going to leave me with about $600
In your bank.
in my bank account that I had payroll, I had rent, I had the expenses of running a business,
Yeah.
which I promise you were a lot more than $800.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, of course.
And I did what I had to do. And I, and these people, they closed the entity, right? They changed their numbers. So that almost broke me, man.
Oh, man.
That almost broke me. But I
You plowed through.
plowed through.
You plowed through. You
You
still
know,
have a relationship with Flo?
well, here's the best part about it. The best part about it is that he was always my guy,
Yeah.
right? Meaning that like from he was started to make this record, he was always my guy. And the way this turned out just reinforced that not only is this my guy, but this guy does business.
Yeah.
This guy does business the right way.
You took the
Right.
hit.
He knows I took the hit, right? But you know what? I can sit here right now today and tell you that number one, I've made phone calls to Flo saying, "Hey man, I got this going on. I'd love to have you be a part of it." I'm there.
Yeah, he knows he could count on you.
Not I'm there like, send me this, send me that. I'm there. Right? And that's priceless.
That is.
And the other part about it is I've done a lot of business with him from that moment to today. And I can tell you the value of that business is a lot of zeros. Like a lot of zeros. You can imagine.
It pales in
I can't-
comparison
I-
to the hit you took.
Exactly.
But you know what?
Right?
Now he
So-
knows he could count on you. And I bet you he could tell other guys they can count on you.
Listen,
Good work,
every single artist, and it's a lot. Every single artist that we've worked with, and it's not just about okay, make sure they get paid, right? It's about making sure, just like my same attitude with event planners, like don't worry about anything. When Irie calls and says, "Hey, I got a date for you," it means it's real, right? It means travel's gonna be fine. It means your writer's gonna be fine. It means production. It means all of those things are gonna be good, or else I wouldn't be calling you.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm not gonna call you just to make a buck, but you can have a bad experience.
Yep.
Right? And that's the other thing that almost broke me, is that I had already built that rapport up with, because a lot I call the artist directly,
Yeah.
right? We have a relationship, so they pick up the phone and say, "All right, cool." It's not that same vetting that a lot of people would go through,
Yeah.
But what happened was, I thought I needed to market my business, right? That's how you do it.
Yeah.
I mean, you market it, right? So you put it on Instagram, you put it. I started getting calls from people that I didn't know, I've never heard of, but they say, "Oh, I want Fat Joe to perform my birthday." "Oh, okay, cool. It's gonna cost you around this much money." "Yeah, I don't, Joe, you available?" "Yeah, I'm down. How much?" "You know what? Get it to this number and I'm down." "Hey, he needs this number. Is that cool?" "Yeah, that's cool. Let's do it." Now Joe's got that date blocked off. He's not taking any other dates, right? "Hey, send me the deposit. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming." No deposit comes. It was bullshit, right? Or, let's say the deposit does come, then the problem is with the back
The
end.
balance. Yeah.
And it's a whole, and it was always with people that I didn't know that were calling out the blue.
Yeah.
And I said, and it started to cause a rift, even with all the like, man, like, is this even real? Like,
Yeah.
I don't have no time for the bullshit, and I said, you know what?
Now it's only people you know.
So when it comes to this business, and it's really amazing that like zero marketing dollars are spent on this business. Zero.
Word of mouth.
Right? And if you end up getting my number and you call me out the blue, thanks, but no thanks.
Don't need the
Right?
stress.
Don't need it. Don't need it. We have an incredible customer base, especially on our corporate side, from Cigna.
Yeah.
What? Right? Like we have just an incredible client base that we do great work with, and we want to grow organically by relationships.
In this last stream of just talking to you, you've mentioned 2 major hits. Obviously, the one Irie Foundation and, Milton and a Big L.
Yeah,
This Big L that you
yeah,
took.
yeah.
Everyone always thinks that success is like just a straight rocket ship up. And I know to my own story. I mean, I've filed
Oh,
bankruptcy. I've gone through my ups and downs where I've lost everything a few times.
yeah.
You just
Yeah.
mentioned 2. Is there another lesson? I mean, what'd you learn? Maybe
Oh,
I
yeah.
guess for
No,
you
no,
took these hits. Maybe
I'll,
there's
I'll tell you one. And the lesson from this one is, if you know yourself, always bet on yourself. If you know yourself, if you don't know yourself and you're confused what's going on, you know what? Play it safe.
yeah.
Get that 9 to 5, okay, whatever. Play. And so for some folks, that's
cool.
that's cool, right? But if you really know yourself, let's say by knowing yourself doesn't mean like, okay, well, I'm comfortable in my skin.
Yeah, no.
No, if you understand your ability, your tenacity,
Yeah.
right? You understand like what you can produce when you focus, right? If you know yourself, bet on yourself. And the reason why I say that is the biggest inflection point of my career, Emmy,
Yeah.
I forgot what year it was, but and I won't put names around this, but you'll know, and
Yeah.
people that know and know will know, right?
Yeah.
But what happened to me was I found myself working with a particular group,
Yep.
right? 95% of my work was within this group, right? Remember, there's 7 days in a week,
Mhm.
right? Not 8, not 9, right?
Yeah.
And they were getting 6.5
Yeah.
of these 7 days, right? And I started to feel like a cog in the machine, and that I'm just being, told, what to do and when to do it,
Yeah.
and I had a lot of pride in myself that I thought I was running my own business, right? The only difference was, W-2 versus 1099, right? Um, but I wasn't in charge of my destiny. I wasn't running this group could have, from one day to the next said, "Hey."
Stop the finger and you're done.
Yeah, right? And that scared the living Jesus out of me, especially when I realized that and I wanted to change that dynamic a bit, they told me, "You wanna what? You don't wanna do these 2 days? Well, if you don't do these 2 days, then you don't do anything." And at this point in time, I had the $1,000,000 home.
Yeah.
I had the nice car.
Yeah.
I had real bills, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, right then and there was every fear I've ever had come
To life.
to life, right? And, it didn't take long for me to be like, "I'm sorry you feel that way, but I guess
Cool.
we'll have to split ways," right? And I still remember what I was wearing on that phone call, where I was standing on that phone call, because my income went from I went from making I was to, like, less than 5% of that
Yeah. Overnight.
overnight, overnight.
Fear.
What am I gonna do? Fear,
There's
right?
fear, guys.
And I was like, this is my worst nightmare come true, but I knew I couldn't capitulate. I knew it, right? That happened, man. But the reason why I was okay with making it, I was like, you know what? Because they said that does not make me less talented. Doesn't make me less of who I am and how I approach my business. It doesn't diminish any of that. So I know I'm still me and I'm down to bet on me,
Yeah.
right? And one of the crazy thing that happened after about a week, when word started getting around, my phone started ringing.
Off dog.
And it started ringing, not just from, this or that. It started ringing from owners of big groups in Vegas,
Yep.
in New York, in Atlanta. And they were saying, "Hey, I heard you're not doing such and such anymore. We've always wanted to work with you, but we didn't want to, ruffle feathers because you were that guy.
Yeah, you're the resident over there every single, whatever it was, Friday night. Like, can
They
you come
thought that-
Friday to Vegas?
They were, but they never wanted to even
To
make an
poach.
offer me
Yeah, of
because the perception was even though that's not even what it was for me.
Yeah.
But what else? But the perception was I'm just that guy,
Yeah.
right? And I was like, yeah, I can come and play for you in New York. Yeah, I can come to Vegas. Yeah, I can come to Europe, right?
Yeah, of course.
And to tell you the truth, I wasn't fully content with being that residency guy where it's like every Monday I'm here, every Tuesday I'm there, every Wednesday. It felt uninspiring, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
right? But I ended up in that situation because the money was great. Don't get me wrong, the money was fantastic, and it was sure money, right?
Yeah.
But the excitement was different scenery, right? Flying into this city, flying into that city, right? And playing to a completely different audience, right?
Really spreading your wings again out there.
Yeah, right. And that's really what I wanted, and then that's where I ended up living, right, and being in because I wasn't afraid to bet on myself, right? And I never forget that. If I would have capitulated and said, "Hey, you know what? I'll keep doing the other 2 days, and we're good, we're good," I would have been miserable. Um, Probably wouldn't be sitting here with you right now, right?
Yeah.
Um, it would absolutely have been the worst decision, of my life.
Oh my God.
So I'm grateful to myself.
Yeah, you bet on you.
That I had the know-it-all to say, hey, you know what, risk it. Like literally risk it all, right? Go from making money to making none and figure it out.
You've
Figure it out.
you obviously did the entertainer thing. You are the entertainer. You book entertainers. You have AR.
Yeah.
You've invested. I know you've invested in pizza concepts. I know you've invested in different things.
Yep.
Outside of you being an entertainer and AR, what's been that aside, diversification?
Yeah.
What's the biggest one, the biggest hit, or like the biggest opportunity you got that you've taken and it's paid off? If there's any outside of those two things.
Actually, it's funny.
And I'm not sure if you even want to talk about it.
No, it's good. I mean, I won't mention all the names on this, but like, it actually came during COVID.
Really?
During COVID, there was a stretch between, I want to say, May 2020 and December 2020, where I'd made the most money I ever made in my life.
No way.
Yes.
No
Yes.
way.
Yes. I'm talking about real money.
Wow.
And it happened by chance. Well, it was the perfect storm, but what happened was there's a guy, I won't put his name there because people start blowing him up. There's a guy that I had met, right? Because he donated to the foundation.
Yep.
It was such a significant donation. I was like, hey, we need to meet. Not only I want to thank you in person, and like I want to understand what ROI is for you, because I want to make sure you're super happy about this. And we met, and that was the only time we ever met. He lives in Canada, and we met. Super cool dude. That was the only time we met in person. We text every now and then, right? So COVID hits. That's another time where I'm like, by the way,
Scary.
that was it was scary. Where COVID for me, I had done a deal with the city.
Yes.
I did a deal with the city.
Yeah, Miami Beach.
With Miami Beach, because remember they're trying to curtail the spring break stuff.
Yeah.
And we did a deal where they built out this huge footprint on the sand.
Yeah.
And I was going to be able to monetize on that via F&B if I brought the talent and took on the investment for the talent, which I did. And to do that, I had to, this.
Yeah.
You gotta pay out all these deposits.
Yeah. And then COVID.
It was over a number of weeks. So all these deposits were paid out, right? I'd made good money during Super Bowl. So now all that money is now paid out to talent. And now I'm expecting this windfall because I have all the F&B, right? And sponsorship. I had paid out talent for 3.5 weeks. We got to do 2 days.
Yeah. Yeah. I had Music Week
Yeah,
booked at the hotels.
right, right.
Pull the plug on those.
I got to do 2 days, right? And of course, no one's getting them saying, "Oh, here's your money back, no."
No.
They're like, "We'll just hold on to it."
Exactly.
And we'll get you another date,
Yeah.
or hey, wasn't my fault.
Exactly.
Right?
Force majeure.
Right? Dude, it was crazy. So now I'm broken again. I've been broken a lot, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But here's what happens, dude. It's funny how life is. So that was March, right? April, I get a call out the blue from that guy.
Yeah.
He goes, "Hey, I think you know such and such." It was a particular artist, I have a client that's doing a virtual birthday, right? And they really want to get, this artist to do like the quote unquote virtual after party. And I've been trying, and I have no luck. But I think you know him. I go, "Yeah, I know him." He goes, "You think you can help me?" I go, I'll call you right back." It took me 2 seconds to get that done, right? I got it done. He only asked me that because he saw like picture together. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, no, yeah.
And something said to me, I was just gonna leave it at that and kind of, go on. I made a little money on that or whatever, right? Something told me to call him back and tell him exactly what I'm capable of and lay out exactly, the contacts and the breadth of what I can do.
Yeah.
And after the event, I called him and said, "Hey man, you have a second?" "Yeah. I just want you to know, like, that was cool, that was easy, but like, I can do so much more, right?" And I gave him the whole layout, and he's like, "Really?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "You know what? That's good to know. I think I'm gonna be calling you again." He calls me back days later. He goes, "Hey, I have another client doing a virtual, right? And they want this person." These are people that would cost 10 million to get in person. Seriously.
Wow.
Like, these are the biggest stars on the planet, right? And they're like, "Well, listen, we're willing to pay like, big numbers, but they don't have to leave the living room. It's all virtual." So all these big talent that like I've never really been able to work with because I haven't had clients with that kind of budget are now saying, "Let's go. I'll take 3 million to sit in my living room and get on a camera," right? And tell some jokes or sing a couple songs, right? The budget for this was like 20 something $million.
Oh my.
Talent, yeah. Seriously. And this happened with different clients like 6, 7 times.
Holy moly.
It was the most insane it was the most insane thing ever.
Oh my God.
Ever. Ever. And I'm talking about, like, I'm not gonna say names, the biggest would have these Zoom parties.
It's amazing.
Would have these Zoom parties,
Yeah, you're
which, like, they would
perfect
invite
to do.
they would invite all their friends, so it would be, like, 300 people on this Zoom party, and it would be a program. It would be, like, this comedian and this artist and like, going, back it would be a whole program, and they did it for, like, birthdays, for, like, anniversaries,
Oh my
whatever.
God.
And then for them, they probably wouldn't have done it in real life so much, but because it was so just their people and it wouldn't get out, they did it.
Oh my God.
Like, and every one of these clients were like multi-billionaires, man.
Oh my God.
And I was like sitting there like, "Hey, Vito, let's play the heavy lift my house."
Oh my God. The joy of remote work.
It was, dude, I mean, it was COVID. That happened
Man.
during COVID.
Oh my God.
That happened. Something told me, call this guy back and tell him all that.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Huh."
I got
Every time we did this stuff, he was like, "Yo,
bigger
I'm
and
gonna,
better.
I'm gonna,
Bigger and better. Before you know
I'm gonna sing you more."
oh my God. Irie, that story is just so mad.
That's great. People are gonna kind of be bugged out on that one, man.
I have learned so much today. Every time we talk, but we've gotten really deep today. Man.
Yeah, I touched on stuff that I had wanted to give. Listen, I don't do many podcasts, but done a
This
couple
is-
and touched on
This
some,
is
but There's definitely
This is very moving.
There's new territory. This one.
There's
We gotta do a part 2, by the way.
There's 2 more things I want to ask you, and then I know we got to keep it moving, but
Yep.
but I think there's number one is, well, actually in this particular one is
Yeah.
top 3 moments in your entertainment career when you're like you just had to step back and soak it in.
Ooh.
Top 3, quick top 3 of like, where were you? Who was there? And you're like, damn.
Well, I mentioned one of them already.
Which one?
It was Robert Downey Jr.'s birthday, only because there's never been such. I mean, it was like going to the Oscars.
Got it.
Everybody, you could not walk 2 feet without bumping into an Oscar winner, right? And this was like at his like
Peak.
Man, everybody was at his home. I remember I played Roxanne by Sting, and the police, and he literally walked in. I had no
Sting.
He walks in, and we lock eyes, and I throw him the microphone, and he's like, Roxanne. I was like, oh.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That's huge.
I was like, this is what heaven feels like. All right.
Oh my God.
So, I mean, just it was an unreal moment in time. And so many other things happened that night. It was just magical. That was definitely one of my top 3 moments. Another one where I was like, yo, I can't believe it was probably World Cup playing. Yeah. So
in Brazil?
In Brazil.
Ooh.
So World Cup in Brazil. It's funny because I went over there with Hublot. I went over there for the whole month. I went there with Hublot. It's funny how like when you're there, things kind of just fall in place. I go there with Hublot. I'm doing these parties, and this lady comes to the party who is one of the main people for AB, right? Budweiser. And Budweiser is like the official,
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh, we have our own hotel like down the street. Like, if you have any time, like, I'd love to book you to play our hotel, right?" I'm like, "All right, cool, I'll do it." So, because I was at the Hublot Hotel, right? And then you had the Bud Hotel, which is like Copacabana, like down the street. So I go over there, I play their party. It's amazing. We have a great time. And then she called me. She goes, "I have an idea." She goes, "Would you want to play at the stadium for the championship?" I'm like,
oh my God.
I turned into the original. I'm like, "Play what?" DJ. And you know what? She did it. Wow. I was literally there DJing
in the
finals World Cup in Brazil. And I'm like, this was not part of the plan.
Oh my God.
Right?
That's incredible.
Was not part of the plan. There's so many, and I gotta put the championship parades in there. Probably put something together. Because it's one thing. Listen, it's one thing. I mean, watching on TV. I remember when the Marlins won their first championship, watching on TV, like, oh my gosh, wow, in Miami we have a championship. It's so cool, And then to be there for the Heat's very first, like the city never had this before, right? And I'm front and center, like I'm like the ringleader of it, that gave me goosebumps the entire time. I was actually playing on the float, going around,
So many surreal moments.
Like so many surreal moments, so many, and then like, man, there's just so many more. But that's off the top of my head, probably
those 3 seem pretty surreal to me. Listen, the last one I'm going to touch on is you have this Irie effect. The Irie effect, where no matter what it is, no matter like we all lead busy lives. I won't talk to you for 8 months, but then I pick up the phone. I feel like I'm your best friend, and you make a lot of people feel that way. Where after they talk to you, they feel like they feel better about themselves, or the way you acknowledge people. I mean, the way you just saw Carlos, our producer, you saw him, you hugged him, you say, "Hey, what's up, man?"
For sure.
Whatever. Like you have this persona and aura, the smile, the everything, the attitude. With all the stress and everything you deal with and the balancing act, because with work that you have, the business that you have, I know you've sacrificed a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have a family.
Yeah.
You have personal life, and you have responsibilities. But your attitude never, ever, ever, ever has once
that is true.
changed.
That is true. That's true.
And
So
I admire you for that more than anything else.
Thank you, E. That means a lot, man.
You know,
That
but
means a lot.
how do you do it? Like, what the fuck, man?
I'd say it's an age-old secret, but I'll share it with you, but
Yeah.
only you. Okay.
Nobody else.
It's a choice.
Wow.
It's a choice. It's not like it's not a passive choice. It's an active choice. It's a choice that starts the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning and you open your eyes and you get back in touch with your humanity, right? Because when you're sleeping, sometimes you know where the hell you are,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, of
But
course.
when you get back and like, oh, okay, it's me. I'm in my home in Miami. I got to, when you get back into that, oh, turn it on, because you're making the choice to be positive, to show love, to spread love, because number one, that's the community I want to live in. That's the world I want to live in, right? That's the surroundings that if I'm not exuding it, I can't expect it from anybody else,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If I'm not living that way, if I'm not embracing the people around me and showing love, whatever, who am I to expect it from anybody else? We have to live the way that we want to live, right?
Yeah.
So like, and my dad told me this too, because you mentioned something at the top of this segment, when you talked about how, sometimes, we might not be in contact for months, whatever. But my dad told me? My dad told me there's two types of people in this world that you'll come across, right? Is that you'll be your friends, people that become your friends. There's just people that you know,
Yeah.
right? Or there's people you come in contact with, right? And he goes, you know how you know your friends? He goes, real friends, no matter, it's not about, oh, that's my friend, I gotta check up on him all the time. True friendship it doesn't matter, because people lead lives,
Yeah.
right? And you don't know what's going on in someone's life, whatever. But you know what? The world has a way of bringing you guys back together for whatever reason, right? And the cool thing about real friends is you pick up right
Where you
where you
left.
left off. It ain't no,
That hits.
it ain't no, oh man, you ain't been around. No, that's your friend.
Yeah.
That's your friend, and you know what's been going on, so you pick up right where you left off, and
Yeah, of course.
it goes. It could be a year, 2 years, it could be a decade. Who cares? Real friends pick up right where they left off.
That's amazing.
So E, we will always pick up right where we left off.
Man, Irie, I appreciate you on the time we've shared.
Yeah, man,
a lot.
my pleasure.
I'm fucking emotional. This has been a real
Dude,
pleasure, James. Is
awesome,
there
man.
anything we've missed? Anything you need to touch up on?
I'll say
anything
this.
coming up?
I'll say this. The story's still being written, so expect a part 2.
One day, yes.
There's
I want
still
to do
a
part
lot
2.
more that
We could
cover in
talk for
private.
hours.
Oh, hell yeah, we could. It's
I
still
know.
not get through it all.
I know, man. Like, oh,
Yeah.
like I have been in constant goosebumps. It just
No,
this flows so great, man, and
Yeah.
I appreciate your time.
That's how we.
I'm looking to support you. Any big things you have coming up that we need to know about to let people know to that you're going to be performing at? I mean, this is going to come out, I'm sure, in the next couple weeks. No, it's cool. And if you have any big ones or the Irie tournament, I mean, and stuff like that.
That's coming up. That's coming up in November. We just shot. I do a TV show with Jamie Foxx called Be Shazam. We just shot our 7th season and 100th episode. We did that in Dublin a couple weeks ago. So that should be airing in the fall, right?
Wow.
So look out for that. It's a awesome. I can't believe I've been a part of the show from inception, and now we're 100 episodes, 7 seasons in.
And what are you doing in the show?
Eight seasons.
What do you do in the show?
So I'm the announcer,
Okay.
right? And I'm the in studio DJ.
Oh,
So I get
gotta go on.
I get a rocking.
God.
But being the announcer on there, like,
Oh, that's when you were in Dublin and you put it on social media. Like,
yeah,
Twitch, though.
I was out there. Yeah.
Oh,
It's funny, 'cause
yeah.
but you watch the show, you'll think it's in Hollywood.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
You think, yeah.
Another one I didn't know.
It is. Matter of fact, it is in Hollywood.
One of my oldest friends, and I don't even know this. So it's
It's in Hollywood, right? No, it's really awesome, man. Like, yeah, a lot of really good stuff's coming up, man. I'm gonna be I have like I said, those dates.
Yeah.
I have Dolly Parton and Miley and all that out in Italy. BB Rexa in in Croatia.
Wow.
Like it's beyond my wildest dreams.
It's gonna be a great summer.
It's gonna be a great summer, man.
Congratulations on your son
Going to the U.
going to the U. I saw that. Now it's
Like, wow, man. Like, wow.
You must
Just
be-
wow. I'm over the moon, man. I'm over the moon. We just went to Future Cane Day last Saturday, and just walking the campus with him, knowing that all of the direction that we tried to give him, as parents and support. You're going to do so much. They've got to want.
They gotta want it for themselves.
They've got to want it for themselves, right? But I think it's like, you know what? If you want it for yourself, I'm gonna make sure you have all the tools and resources that you need to be the best you can, right? And I think we did a good job of giving him those tools and resources, and he absolutely wanted it for himself. The proudest moment for me was being in the room with all the other students that were committed, and the uh, the head of admissions said, "Hey, this is a very historic year because they had 60,000 plus early decision applicants. Early, okay? Which means they had to raise the threshold of what they consider, right? So they talked about what the 60th early, okay? So they said, hey, we have to raise our threshold to get through that many because they only have a certain number of spots, for early. And they said, you know what? This is the first year that you had to have a, whatever it was, ACT, um, you had to have your SATs, you had to have a GPA, and like that's the first time that they've had them as high
As in, I don't know.
as they've had them in history of school. And he was in that cut.
He did that himself.
So I said, I knew, listen, I know he's a smart kid. I know he did well. I know he did that well.
Oh my God.
I'm like, dude, are you look around. Like, this is an incredible accomplishment, He was like,
Then he did it.
I
Just like that.
I checked the box here. Yeah, I know.
Oh man, that must
It made me so proud. So
Yeah.
proud. So,
man.
you be going through that soon too, bro.
Soon, man. Well,
Yeah. No
thank
rush
you.
though.
Thank you.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me, man. This is
Thank you
awesome.
guys for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this segment with Irie.
If you enjoy it, get your money back. Let's go. Don't call me, call him.
Oh, man.
All right, get your money.
Have a great day.
Peace, y'all.